Okay, so college football playoffs officially begin tomorrow. At 4 o'clock, we got the prestigious Rose Bowl. This will be number 4 Notre Dame taking on number 1 Alabama. And then at 8 o'clock p.m., we have number 3 Ohio State going up against number 2 Clemson. So, Nate, I'll start off with you. Give me your predictions first for Notre Dame and Alabama.
I don't even think this one's going to be a competition, to be honest with you. I really don't. And no discredit to any of these 14, all of them are good. I mean, they're there for a reason. But Notre Dame couldn't even get past Clemson with so many opportunities thrown at them, and they just got blown out of the water. So I really don't think they're gonna do anything to Alabama. So you already know how I'm big. I know it's gonna hurt you. It's gonna hurt my brother Chucky, but we probably already know what's gonna end up happening here.
Well, I'll say this. Alabama, they have, I believe, the best wide receiver in the game in Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith, I believe, will be the Bolitnikoff winner, which, in case people don't know, that is a trophy given to the best college wide receiver every year. Last year was Jamar Chase, but Jamar Chase decided to take a year out, and Devontae Smith just basically shined because he was part of that wide receiver trio in Alabama last year with Henry Ruggs and Jerry Judy, but he really didn't get the shine that we necessarily see from him this year because now he's the star wide receiver, considering the fact that Henry Ruggs is with the Las Vegas Raiders and Jerry Judy is with the Denver Broncos. So with those two gone, Devontae Smith really became the number one wide receiver, and he really did play an absolutely great season this year. Going base now, that's basically what Alabama has, and they also have Mac Jones, who's I think a top 4 finalist for the Heisman this year. I believe the Heisman Trophy finalists this year, I believe it's Trask, Kyle Trask from Florida. I believe it's Mac Jones from Alabama. I believe it's Devontae Smith, the wide receiver from Alabama that I just explained. And I believe the last one, I think it might be Trevor. And so it's a great Heisman finalist category. But I think basically what's going to determine this Notre Dame game is going to be the connection that Mac Jones has with Devontae Smith. I mean, obviously, there's another wide receiver there in Jalen Waddle who's really good. But again, I believe that if you lock down Devontae Smith, I believe that makes Mac Jones' job very much more harder. Now, here's the thing: if you lock down Devontae Smith, right, you also got that probably shifts more to the running game because they can't get nothing done in the passing game. So when you shift to the running game, now you got to worry about Najee Harris, who's a very good running back for Alabama, and he's been playing absolutely great these past few years for Alabama. I mean, I gotta be real with you, man. I definitely think Alabama's gonna win this game. But let me tell you something. In my heart, I want Notre Dame to win this, and I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But let me tell you something, okay? Notre Dame, do me a favor, okay? After this game, beat Alabama. Tell me, Mario, shut your mouth, okay? And watch us do our thing, okay? I want to be wrong, okay? When I come back on this computer, okay? When I come back on YouTube, when I come back on the Instagram clips, which by the way, if you haven't followed our Instagram, follow our Instagram. If you haven't subscribed to YouTube, please go do that. But listen, when we get back, I want to be proven wrong. So Notre Dame, please, please, please beat Alabama. So I gotta get to Notre Dame. Notre Dame obviously has some factors. We're not gonna ignore them. Notre Dame has Ian Book, who's the fifth year quarterback for them. He decided to stay a fifth year to help Notre Dame win a championship. Obviously, that's what everybody wants to do. So he stayed for a fifth year to help us win a championship. So respect to Ian Book. Ian Book is a very underrated quarterback, I believe. I believe he protects the football very well. I don't think he throws a lot of picks. I think he's a very smart quarterback. I mean, obviously, he's been there for 5 years, so there's a lot of NFL players who definitely played with Ian Book, and I guarantee you they have nothing but good things to say about him. Then you look to the running backs, and the first person I think of is Kyron Williams, a sophomore, and Kyron Williams has taken a big, huge role in the Notre Dame offense. I mean, for a sophomore to come in and just dominate the way he's doing, it is something unbelievable. I remember he had 3 rushing touchdowns against Clemson, the first game, and I believe he absolutely lit it up against Clemson the first game. The second game, not too much to shut him down, but I believe Kyron Williams is a key piece to Notre Dame winning this game. If Notre Dame has a chance of winning, I believe it goes through Kyron Williams more than Ian Book. Also, Notre Dame's defense got to be better. You know what I'm saying? Like it was way out of hand. It was way it was way unnecessary. It was too unnecessary for Notre Dame's defense to let go of so many points against Clemson. I believe they got to learn their lesson there, and I believe they got to get ready for Alabama because if they give Alabama offensively as much chances as they gave Trevor Lawrence and Clemson, they're gonna have a bad night. With that being said, professionally, I do have I predict Alabama will win, but my heart tells me Notre Dame. Now, let's go to the other game, Nate. Let's go to number 3 Ohio State, and let's go to number 2 Clemson. Tell me your prediction. Who you got?
Hey, listen, man. Like you said before, it's gonna rely on Justin Fields and his offense. And as for Clemson, it's gonna rely on Trevor Lawrence and that defense. I think this is gonna be a really, really good game. Unlike Alabama and Notre Dame game, I don't think it's gonna be a blow. I think it's gonna be a very high scoring, very close game. I think it's gonna go back and forth. Just like a very close NFL game. But you know what? At the end of the day, I got Clemson winning this game.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I'm gonna be honest, I feel bad for Trevor Lawrence. And the reason why I feel bad is because he had to deal with COVID.
Jacksonville.
I'm sorry?
Jacksonville. Anyway, what are you
Anyway,
saying?
I feel bad for Trevor Lawrence because he had to deal with COVID for like 2 weeks earlier on in the season. And I believe those 2 weeks really did lower his chances of winning the Heisman. Because I'm gonna be real with you, man. If Trevor Lawrence wins 2 national championships, goes to national championship games, and he wins a Heisman, I think you could definitely put him up there as one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time. And I know that's a big stretch, but in 150 years of college football, you put Trevor Lawrence in those categories with those guys who've done the same thing that he did. If he wins a Heisman, which means you got a Heisman winner, you got a 2-time national championship winner, you got a 3-time national championship appearances basically from a quarterback. I believe he's definitely up there for one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time. But when you look at but now let me get to Ohio State. So when you look at Ohio State, you look at Justin Fields, and I believe Justin Fields is basically the pioneer for bringing back Big Ten football. I mean, he had that petition, and a lot of people signed it. I believe he was a key factor to the reason why Big Ten football came back. And obviously it was a short season. They had to play 6 games, but in those 6 games, Justin Fields had 1,520 yards, 15 TDs with 5 interceptions. Now, those are some good stats for somebody who only played 6 games. Now, do I put him in the Heisman category? No, because you got guys like the Florida quarterback Kyle Trask, who had almost 45 more touchdowns and had the same amount of interceptions within those touchdowns. So I think he's better. I think Mac Jones played. Obviously, they played more, but I think Mac Jones is better. And the stats that he's producing this year, I think those definitely, definitely blow Justin Fields' stats out the water. Now, if I had to now, Justin Fields has a number 1 wide receiver in Chris Olave. And Chris Olave is a very good wide receiver. I mean, Chris Olave, he's definitely going to be a first-round pick in this draft, I believe. But as of now, he's the Ohio State number 1 wide receiver. So in 6 games, Chris Olave had 36 receptions, 528 yards, 5 TDs, and he averaged 14.7 yards per catch. Chris Olave is going to be a big factor in this game. Again, just like I talked about the connection between Mac Jones and Devontae Smith, that same connection applies to Chris Olave and Justin Fields. And I believe that if Clemson is able to lock down Chris Olave, I believe that they have a very good advantage and a very good edge over Ohio State. Now, 2 guys right here I want to talk about is the running backs for Ohio State, because you just don't know which one's going to go off. I'll start with Master Teague. Master Teague is having a great year at running back, and you also had to like wonder, well, when J.K. Dobbins left, who's gonna carry the torch? And Master Teague he's one of the guys who did that. As I'll start with him first, and there's another back I want to talk about. So Master Teague had 89 rushes, 449 yards, 6 TDs, and he averaged 5 yards per carry. I mean, this year he's been him and the other running back for Ohio State, which is Trey Sermon. They've been like a 1-2 punch for the Ohio State rushing crew, and they've done a very, very good job of both of that. You just don't know which one's gonna have the night. And basically, it's not pick your poison because you just don't know, but it's basically predict which one's gonna have the night. But if Clemson can shut down both running backs, then I believe it's just going to make Clemson's job that much easier. The second running back, which I mentioned, Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon absolutely had a record-breaking game not too long ago against Northwestern. So Trey Sermon, um, this game was so good that he got a shout out from LeBron James, and I believe that whenever you get a shout out from one of the best athletes in any sport, I believe that's something to really take pride in. So Trey Sermon had 84 rushes this year, 675 yards, 3 TDs, and he averaged 8 yards per rush. And the one game I'm talking about is the Northwest game. In this Northwestern game, he had 29 rushes, 331 yards, averaged 11 yards per carry, had 2 TDs, and he had a long run of 65 yards against Northwestern. He was a very big key piece to the reason why Ohio State won the Big Ten championship. And I believe that it's going to come down to Justin Fields and Chris Olave and how their connection is going to be. And I believe it's going to come down to how good the rushing game is going to be for Ohio State. As for Clemson, I absolutely agree with you. It's going to come down to how good Clemson's defense is and how well are they going to stop those types of factors that I just explained that Ohio State has. And it's all going to come down to, and the biggest factor is going to be, who, Trevor Lawrence.
Absolutely, man. And if you guys want a quick reminder of these games, the Rose Bowl is 1 p.m. right tomorrow.
The Rose Bowl is 4 p.m. between
4
number
p.m.
1 ranked Alabama and number 4 ranked Notre Dame. And the All-State Sugar Bowl will be at 8 p.m. between number 3 ranked Ohio State and number 2 ranked Clemson.
Make sure you guys go check that out.